Welcome to the Rare History Channel. James Buchanan, Jr., a dive into 13 rare facts about America's 15th president.
James Buchanan, Jr., the 15th President of the United States, is a figure whose legacy remains debated among historians. Serving just before the Civil War, his tenure was marred by several controversial decisions. In this video, we uncover 13 rare facts that shed light on this often criticized leader.
Fact number 1. The unwed president. James Buchanan remains a unique figure in U.S. presidential history due to his lifelong bachelor status.
While many presidents had memorable first ladies by their sides, Buchanan's niece, Harriet Lane, assumed the duties of the White House hostess during his term. His close and enduring relationship with Alabama Senator William Rufus King ignited gossip, with some contemporaries and historians speculating about the nature of their bond. They shared a residence for many years in Washington, D.C., which further fueled such conjectures. While letters between the two hint at a deep affection, there is no definitive proof to label their relationship beyond that of close friendship.
Number 2. A dual congressional experience. James Buchanan's political career was quite extensive before he ascended to the presidency. Notably, he is among a select group who has served in both chambers of the U.S. Congress.
Beginning in the House of Representatives, Buchanan represented Pennsylvania from 1821 to 1831. His political journey continued when he was elected to the Senate, where he served from 1834 to 1845. This extensive legislative experience provided him with deep insights into the workings of the American government. Number 3. Prelude to the Civil War. James Buchanan's presidency is often viewed through the lens of the impending Civil War, which erupted shortly after he left office. Serving as the 15th president from 1857 to 1861, Buchanan faced increasing tensions between the North and South, primarily centered around the contentious issue of slavery. His policies, particularly his decision to support the pro-slavery Lecompton Constitution for Kansas, aggravated these tensions. Furthermore, his belief that while states didn't have the right to secede, the federal government couldn't prevent them from doing so, showcased a lack of decisive leadership. Many historians argue that his administration's actions, or lack thereof, played a significant role in the conditions leading up to the Civil War.
Number 4. The controversial Lecompton Constitution support. James Buchanan's endorsement of the pro-slavery Lecompton Constitution in Kansas deeply polarized an already divided nation. Kansas, a territory torn by violent conflicts between pro- and anti-slavery factions, sought statehood. The Lecompton Constitution, drafted in 1857, proposed that Kansas join the Union as a slave state. Buchanan's backing of this constitution was seen by many as favoring the Southern, pro-slavery agenda, and caused an uproar among Northern Democrats and Republicans. His actions intensified the national debate over slavery and pushed the country closer to civil war. Number 5. The Dred Scott debacle. James Buchanan believed that the Supreme Court's decision in the Dred Scott v. Sanford case would provide a definitive solution to the ongoing slavery debate. The 1857 ruling declared that African Americans, whether free or enslaved, were not U.S. citizens and therefore couldn't sue in federal court. Moreover, it held that Congress lacked the authority to ban slavery in federal territories. Far from settling the contentious issue, the decision outraged abolitionists and deepened sectional conflicts. Buchanan's misplaced hope in the decision as a final word on slavery further tainted his reputation. Number 6. Fragmenting his own ranks. Throughout his presidency, Buchanan displayed a penchant for clashing with fellow Democrats. Rather than fostering unity, he employed strong-arm strategies, leveraging political patronage as both a carrot and a stick. This approach created rifts, as he rewarded loyalists and penalized detractors. Such tactics did more harm than good, further fragmenting an already divided party and weakening its stance in a critical period in American history. Number 7. The Panic of 1857 and its aftermath. James Buchanan's presidential term was marred by the Panic of 1857, one of the most severe economic downturns of the 19th century. Caused by factors such as the decline in international economies and the collapse of the U.S. land speculation bubble, this financial crisis led to bank failures, high unemployment rates, and a significant drop in property values. Buchanan's response was largely hands-off, adhering to his belief in limited government intervention. His reluctance to provide federal relief or address the root causes of the crisis left many Americans struggling, further cementing his legacy as an ineffective leader during turbulent times. Number 8. The White House is a prison. Buchanan once referred to the White House as a prison, reflecting his sentiments on the mounting pressures of his presidency. Number 9. The bloodbath in Kansas and Buchanan's apathy. Bleeding Kansas emerged as a battleground for the larger national debate over slavery in the 1850s. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 stipulated that the residents of these territories would decide whether to allow slavery, leading both pro-slavery and anti-slavery advocates to flood into Kansas. What ensued was a series of brutal, violent clashes that gained national attention. Buchanan's approach was one of indifference. Rather than implementing policies or taking actions to quell the rising tensions, he seemed to passively allow the confrontations to escalate, solidifying Kansas as a symbol of the country's division over slavery. Number 10. The Mormon Expedition, a war that wasn't. The Utah War of 1857 to 1858 was a glaring blunder of Buchanan's administration. Based on exaggerated reports of a Mormon rebellion against the U.S. government, Buchanan dispatched troops to suppress the supposed uprising led by the Mormon leader Brigham Young. In reality, there was more miscommunication and misunderstanding than an actual revolt. The expedition was not only costly in terms of resources but also claimed lives in skirmishes, even though full-blown war was avoided. Number 11. Unsuccessful ventures in foreign diplomacy. A key objective of Buchanan's foreign policy was the annexation of Cuba, an ambition which his administration utterly failed to achieve. Moreover, during the Civil War, despite the Union's efforts, Buchanan could not deter Britain from providing clandestine support to the Confederate forces. This British support posed a severe threat, as it could have potentially turned the tide of the war against the Union. Number 12. Buchanan's paradoxical stance as the nation crumbled. In the years leading to the Civil War, Buchanan presented a baffling position. While he believed states didn't possess the right to secede from the Union, he simultaneously maintained that the federal government couldn't intervene to stop them. This contradictory and ambiguous stance at a time of national crisis left many bewildered and showcased his inability to provide the decisive leadership that the circumstances demanded. Number 13. The Ostend Manifesto controversy. In 1854, under Buchanan's administration as Secretary of State, American diplomats drafted the Ostend Manifesto. This document suggested that the United States should acquire Cuba from Spain and, if Spain refused to sell, the U.S. should consider taking it by force. The underlying motivation was to transform Cuba into a new slave state, bolstering the pro-slavery South. When the manifesto was leaked to the public, it sparked outrage, especially among anti-slavery Northerners, further eroding trust in Buchanan's leadership.